Hello my friend, Coach Phill back here with you in this momentum series. I hope you're doing what you have to do. I hope 2007 is setting up for you to be one of those epic years, for you to do whatever it takes, ladies and gentlemen, to do whatever it takes to make sure that you make it one of those memorable years for you. So this particular episode is the big one. This is one of the biggies. This is where it all starts. This is one of those that you really must challenge yourself to do whatever it takes to not only take notes, but to master it, to begin to practice, to begin to do whatever it takes to build on this particular aspect. I call it the biggie because it underlies everything that we're going to be doing together. It underlies your life. I mean, apart from biological challenges, apart from a biological effect on you, this particular aspect that I want to talk to you about affects everything in your life. All the challenges that you have in life are affected by this one thing. Whether you have anxiety, whether it is depression, whether it is fear of intimacy, fear of success, alcohol, drugs abuse, underachievement at work or at home, underachievement at school, spouse battering, child molestation, sexual dysfunction, sexual abuse, suicidal thoughts, emotional immaturity, crime, whatever it is, ladies and gentlemen, it is all stemmed from this one thing, and this is your self-esteem. Your self-esteem is one of the most important things you're going to have to work on as an adult. It is, your self-esteem is where it all starts from. I hear you guys asking, hey, why do I even think? Hey, how you feel about yourself, how you feel about who you really are and the value you have affects every aspect of your life. Every aspect. It affects your work, it affects you in love, it affects you in sex, it affects you as a parent, it affects you in terms of how far you're going to go in life. It is the key to success. It is so important in the Momentum series that we will go over it over and over and over again. And when we do, and ladies and gentlemen, this is the exciting bit, when we do the Momentum Live series, the Momentum Live seminar, the first 4 hours are about you and your self-esteem. And I must tell you that one of the reasons that our events are really powerful from a personal development point of view is that we always spend at least 4 to 6 hours of the beginning of the event dealing with the human being, dealing with raising people's self-esteem, dealing with helping people to know what? To understand that, hey, your self-worth, your self-value determines a lot of your success. The key to your success or failure is your self-esteem. But not only that, it is also a key for you to understand yourself a bit more and to understand others. I cannot emphasize enough. Statistics show that 60% of the world's population has a low or suffers from a low self-esteem. And I'm not unique. I suffered from, I struggled with self-esteem for a very long time. For a very long time during my earlier years, during my time at school, during my time at university, I struggled a lot with low self-esteem. I was not just the shy guy, but I was also sometimes the guy who took advantage and attempted to bully other people. I was one of those guys who, would decide that, what? I think the best thing for me to be, to look, to have, to be important is to drink, is to, go and drink myself silly. And it is not until I got a little bit deeper in understanding this stuff that I began to realize, hey, that was always my self-esteem that I was struggling with. The self-respect that I had for myself was zero. Therefore, I had to compensate. Therefore, I had to do things to compensate for that. So when I speak to you about this, I'm not just telling you from a trainer, a coach point of view, but it's something I have lived. It's something that I struggled with for a long time. And when I began to do the work, it is deep work. You got to work. I'm going to share with you the 6 practices of helping you to raise your self-esteem in this video. But I got to tell you, this might be one of the greatest challenges you've had. I think it is Napoleon Hill who said one of the greatest things you'll ever do for yourself is build your self-esteem and have discipline to control your mind. And you think about that. So every day you got to work on your self-esteem because it builds your confidence in life so that you can be able to do the things that you say you're going to do. We could discuss so many of the things, so many of the tools in this Momentum series, but if your self-esteem is low and you're not working consistently on it, you'll be surprised. Things will not be moving. You'll be wondering, why do I self-sabotage? Why am I not moving? Why do I move a little bit and then get back? Hey, first place to look is our self-esteem. How do we feel about ourselves? Why do we even need to discuss self-esteem? Because it determines your success or your failure. It is one of those important things. To sum it up, when people ask me, what is self-esteem? I usually say, hey, a positive self-esteem is a cardinal requirement for a fulfilled life. A positive self-esteem is a cardinal requirement for a fulfilled lifestyle. Self-esteem is, it has two facets, but it is just understanding and believing and beginning to live the life where you have the self-confidence and self-respect in your ability to figure things out and make things happen in life. It is the disposition it is the disposition to accept that you have the ability to believe in yourself that you will figure things out and you will make things happen in the world. Self-esteem, ladies and gentlemen, to you right now, going through this series is one of the greatest things you're going to ever do for yourself. It reminds me, I do a lot of study. There's one, I was looking at an interview, and T. Harv Eker, one of the great teachers out there, he was narrating a story where he had interviewed multimillionaires. And one or two in there said, hey, when my self-confidence and self-esteem went high, that is the first time I broke through the barrier of being able to earn $1 million. Which means that earning $1 million was a mindset. When the multimillionaire began to believe in their value, what they bring to the table, in understanding that, hey, I am the kind of person who is worthy of, the moment that kicked in, boom, $1 million. Now, as we go through these particular 6 practices, I want you to begin to really think and ask yourself a question: where am I at? Now, are there certain people who have great self-esteem? Without a doubt. But I can assure you that right now we're looking at a lot of studies of how the education system doesn't work and why other education systems work. And when you look at some of the children from some of these schools, you can begin to see that the schools where they emphasize character and self-esteem, those children are much more bold. They're much more, they're great to be around. They're kids who give you that little goose pimple feeling of, hey, I think that guy is going to be a great kid. Why? Because they're building they're building their self-esteem. They're making them appreciate themselves. They're building value. They're giving them confidence in life. They're giving them what it is that will make. If you ask me right now, if there's anything you'll ever do for your children, is build their self-esteem and confidence. End of story. Now, usually people ask, oh, what is the difference between self-esteem and self-worth? Self-esteem is much more about an inside thing. It's much more about self-worth. Whereas self-confidence is much more about acting. You can grow into being a confident public speaker by doing what? Guess what I did? When I started off, I was a shy guy. I never used to do public speaking. But I said, you know what? I'll figure it out. Then I went and studied. Then slowly but surely, I began to get the skills. Then I began to build my confidence. And I spoke 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, boom. My confidence went to the next level. So I became a self-confident person. Self-esteem, on the other hand, is that internal bit where you got to trust. You got to feel that, and it is, like I said, it is a much deeper concept. You got to work on it consistently. There's so many examples out there of people who self-sabotage because of their self-esteem. There's so many people out there who could have made it, but because of the self-esteem issues, they end up not ever living up to what everybody saw when they were kids. So, in this particular edition, and yes, it is a little bit heavy, but hey, we got to do what we have to do to make sure that 2017 is an epic year. So, I am going to share with you the 6 practices for you to begin to work on your self-esteem. The first one is you must, ladies and gentlemen, practice self-acceptance. Now, I love this one because a long time ago, I used to want to please everybody. I used to be, one who wanted to, to be in the background, not really appreciate who I was. Hey, accept who you are, period. Who you are is who you are. You can't change that. You can't take that away. What you can do, what you can change, change. What you can't change, end of story, let it go. Just be yourself, period. Trust in yourself that you will be fine. Take out your journal. I hope you have journals. Take out your freaking journal and begin to write. I trust myself. I accept myself the way I am. Your opinion of me must never become my reality. I choose to trust myself. I choose self-acceptance. You begin to practice that on a daily basis. Guess what? Your self-esteem begins to go up. Now, remember, I'm not saying it is go and do self-acceptance. No, practice self-acceptance. This comes obviously from a gentleman called Daniel Nathaniel, one of the greatest teachers of self-esteem, and he emphasizes begin to accept who you are. It is not about what other people think. It is not about what society wants of you. No. Accept who you are. And you will notice people with great high self-esteem, they don't really give a damn about what you think about them. No. But what usually happens is they have a certain poise and grace about themselves because they've accepted who they are. Just accept yourself and see how handsome you begin to look all of a sudden. All of a sudden you begin to look good, you begin to feel good. But this is the other thing that happens. All of a sudden there's a big weight that is lifted off you. Why? Because you don't need to pretend anymore. You don't need to be somebody else anymore. You just realize, you know what? I am just me. End of story. I went through the book and I suggest that you go and buy the book, okay? How to Raise Your Self-Esteem. It's a small book, but it's such a powerful book. Go through it, read it, do the exercises, you will be amazed. You will be amazed what happens to your life. Now, in our pursuit of making sure that 2017 is epic, you got to work on your self-esteem. Why? You got to show up. You got to show up as you. You got to show up authentically. You can't do that if your self-esteem is low. No. It is going to be work. And like I said, in the live momentum series, we're just going to take it to the next level. We're in a room, we're rocking, we're working on that stuff. There's a peer group supporting you, but most importantly, we're pushing you to make sure that you break through those subconscious barriers that prevent you from being so. First practice, I hope you're writing this down. Write it down. It's crucial. Practice self-acceptance. Number 2, ladies and gentlemen, number 2 is practice living consciously. Be conscious about what's going on in your life. It's amazing how many people are walking around in a trance and they just do the same thing over and over and over again, day in, day out. No progress check, no asking yourself, no taking it. If you don't have a journal and you're doing momentum series and you don't write stuff down, we need to talk. We need to have a one-to-one because, hey, how are you conscious of what is going on in your life? Practicing living consciously means be present, be aware, demand every day that you sit down and you know, okay, what did I go through today? Where was I useful? What did I learn? Where did I make a difference? Every day, take a journal, write it down, be conscious, be aware, okay, I was walking and I shook a man's hand and I didn't look them straight in the eye. Or, I went to a shop and for some reason, I couldn't, stand my ground when somebody jumped the queue. Be conscious about how you're living. Take out a journal and begin to write those things down and begin to note those things. All of a sudden, the conscious living begins to manifest inside you. Then you become a much more higher confident person. And I think that is a great thing. Live consciously. Act on the right things now. If it is going to be that you say you're going to do ABC today, do it. But make sure that if you don't do it, you take a note in the evening. You sit down and say, okay, this is what I had to do. I wasn't able to do. Be aware, be conscious about it. Okay, what am I going to have to do tomorrow? In the previous episodes, I've spoken to you about self-discipline. This is where you really have to take it to the next level in terms of demanding that you do whatever it takes to ensure that you're taking the time off to do that. It is blocked off time for what? For journaling. Yesterday I was listening to a gentleman, Paul Ekwene. He's a world-class athlete guy. He's been doing this for years, and he was saying one of the greatest ways you can ensure great sleep is to have positive thoughts just before you go to bed. So I was listening and thinking, where is this guy going with this? And he said, and one of the greatest ways to ensure positive thoughts before you go to bed is to consciously write in your gratitude journal. What am I grateful for today? Who did I help today? Who helped me out today? What am I excited for? This is a world-class athlete guy who is doing the same thing. He's talking about living consciously. Where are you at? That is number 2. So again, take your journal out and say, okay, what am I going to start doing to become an awesomely present person to begin to live consciously? A journal doesn't cost much. $10, $5, whatever, $5K, whatever, get it, have it handy. Make sure you're doing it. And yes, I know it's not easy. I know some of this stuff is new. But hey, we got to start somewhere. And yes, some days you won't be able to do it. Some days you'll miss it. But let those days be fewer. Let it be that you get into the habit of consciously doing it. And all of a sudden, your life will begin to open up, and you will begin to move at the rate that you ought to be moving. So, number 3, ladies and gentlemen, practice self-responsibility. Now, I'm not saying practice being responsible or responsibility. I'm saying practice self-responsibility. Take charge. Nobody is responsible for you. Actually, nobody gives a damn about you. Just do your stuff. Focus on you first. Take responsibility for you. Take responsibility for your health. It is not the restaurant downstairs. It is not the economy. No, you take responsibility and say, you know what? I created this, whatever it is, and I'm going to change it. Do whatever you have to do. Sit down in your journal right now and say, where have I been full of excuses? Where am I not taking responsibility for me? Where do I find myself? There's a certain caliber of people out there where they think about everybody else first. And sometimes I used to be the same kind of person, where, I if everybody's not happy yet, then I can't be happy again. What a whole lot of nonsense. Okay, it is great to be what? To be a great host. But a great host with great self-esteem is a better host than one who doesn't have great self-esteem. Because one, they overanalyze themselves. They're always looking for, these are the kind of people you say to them, oh, that was a great dish you served there. And they say, oh yeah, I used olive oil instead of butter. Hey, just freaking say, yes, it was awesome, and let's go. These guys, you say, you finally compliment them, you say, hey, that is a beautiful shirt you're wearing, and say, oh really? There was a better color that I could have gotten. They never, ever, ever get to the stage of just accepting, taking responsibility for themselves. I am urging you again, bring out a fresh page in your journal, begin to write and say, which things am I going to start doing to take responsibility for me? Because nobody gives a damn. Nobody's coming. I am going to focus on me, and I am going to do this and this and this. One of the things that I do, for example, the morning hour, okay, that's about me. I'm selfish about it. Doesn't matter. I'm going to take time to do my meditation, to do my prayer, to do my exercise, to prime myself for the day, so that when I appear for my loved ones, for the people that I serve, for my team, I am ready. I am good to go. I am here to be of service to them. Do the exercise. Do the exercise. You'll be surprised. Next one, ladies and gentlemen, practice self-assertiveness. This is a biggie. This is a real biggie, especially for those people who are like me. I struggled quite a bit when I was a young man. And I was one of those where, my dad was a great guy. He worked until, my last time in university. And I think his last biggest paycheck was my last school fees to send me to school. He did his best, and I was one of those guys who always thought I was a little bit inferior. Why? We had neighbors and we had people who were a little bit above us. I was one of those kids who would go to the neighbors and watch them drink tea and bread in the evening, and we didn't have evening tea at home sometimes. Or if we had, it was, just tea and no sugar and stuff like that, which would have been healthy thinking about it then. But hey, I was one of those people. It was not a privilege upbringing, but what that did for me is when I began to do this exercise, I realized, damn, I was never, ever assertive in anything I ever did for a very long time. That affected me at school, that affected me everywhere, until I realized, boom, you got to ground yourself. You got to get to that stage where you become a little bit of, people might assume it is arrogance or no, but self-assertiveness is where you say, you know what, I am going to be authentic to myself. I am going to say what I feel. I am going to stop repressing myself. I am just going to be my ideal self. If I don't want something, I don't. And this is what is amazing. Sometimes before people get used to it, I go and sometimes my mom might have something. She's cooked something, the greatest chef in the world, my beautiful mom. She might cook something, and before I would just eat regardless. Now sometimes I would go and say, oh, Mom, you know what, I'm not eating that. Initially she was like, oh, what? But yes, I realized, you know what, it's about me. I don't feel like eating it, I'm not going to eat it. Now it's got nothing to do with anything. Is it a great meal? Is it a great dish? Yes. But I just decided I am being assertive about my health. I'm being assertive about what I put inside. So I'm going to say no. Hey, you sit down again, right, and say, which incidents am I going to have to start being a little bit more assertive? Where am I going to say, you know what? No is no. Where am I going to be in that position where I'm like, you know what? This is what I'm saying. This is my shit. I'm going to stick with it. Where? Write it down. Become aware. Become much more conscious about it and begin to build your self-esteem. I hope this is making sense to you, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you took it down. I also hope that you're taking some time to, think about it and say, okay, that makes sense. Or that doesn't make sense. Or I have kind of experienced that, or I haven't experienced that. Whichever it is for you, just become aware. The next one, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're right here. I hope you're taking time. The next one is practice personal integrity. Now, this is a big one. This is a really big one. And this is where most of our challenges with self-esteem come from. I suffered from this one for quite a while, because every time you don't live by integrity, your inner voice equals that to worthlessness. You begin to feel worthless yourself. Nobody has to tell you. Why? Because you're not living with integrity. Now, this is one of those where you got to be congruent in your thoughts, in your words, and in your action. What you think, what you do has got to be congruent. You just got to freaking tell the truth all the time, every time. If it means, and this is a challenge for you for this week, if it means that you don't have to talk to anybody but not lie about something, so be it. One of the biggest things you're going to have to do is go through the week without telling one little simple stupid lie. Like, how are you? If you're not well, you say, I'm not that good. Now, when I say that I struggle with this a lot is because I used to tell stupid lies just to make people happy. I used to, before I realized that, hey, it really affects your self-esteem, you tell a simple stupid lie because you don't want to upset the other person. But those chip away on your worthfulness. Then all of a sudden you feel worthless, and then you are not the kind of person when you show up, you're shaky, you're not grounded. All of a sudden you feel, I don't feel as grounded. Even when you meet people, you greet their hands, and you cannot keep eye contact. You're always looking down, and this is another exercise I do when we do trainings. I tell people that, hey, let me shake your hand and just feel your groundedness. And then people cannot shake your hand without looking straight in your eye. Hey, that already tells me where they are at with their self-esteem. You are part of the Momentum series. You are going to make 2017 epic. You are going to start practicing personal integrity. The final one, ladies and gentlemen, is begin to practice living purposefully. Remember, I'm not saying, hey, it is Live purposefully. No, practice living purposefully. Why? It is constant. You got to work on it. It doesn't happen once. Now, when I say be purposeful, what do I mean? Be a much more purposeful person in terms of how you account for yourself, in terms of how you do. The concept is become a modern day warrior. Bring your mind to things and begin to do them. Say that, you know what? My purpose this year is to make 2017 an awesome year. What does that mean? I am going to work on my health, my discipline. I'm going to do what it takes. I'm going to build my self-esteem, bring it to the table and be purposeful about it. Every one of us is on this world for a purpose. What is yours? By the way, it is not that it is one set. No, your purpose evolves as you go. Your job is to continue moving. Your job is to continue do whatever you ought to do to ensure that you're bringing to the table what you were designed to be. In doing that, you become a much more confident human being. You become a person of self-worth. So, ladies and gentlemen, there are your 6 practices for you building your self-esteem. Now, as usual, I want to give you some barbecues or some practices that you can continue to, that you can begin to work on straight away. Number 1, tame the inner voice, tame the inner critic. You know that critic which tells you you're worthless. There's different ways of dealing with it, okay? One of them is just tell it to shut up. Okay, the other one is to say, hey, thank you for sharing, but we're not going there anymore. You're about to do something and then come in and say, oh, you're not good enough, you can't do this. You say, thank you for sharing, but this is the new direction. You have to do it over and over again until you shut it up, because that is one of the biggest challenges you have as you begin to build your self-esteem. Tame the inner critic, tame that inner voice. Sometimes it is persistent. Like I said, sometimes you can just say, thank you for sharing. Sometimes you can just say, shut the up. Okay? And then go. There's so many times where, I've wanted to give up on pursuing something. There's so many times I'm about to get on stage and, something is like, oh, damn, you're not ready or whatever. Hey, thank you for sharing. However, this is where we're going. Write it down. Begin to say, okay, I'm going to become much more purposeful about shutting up the inner critic. And then get to work. And then do what you ought to do. Number 2, ladies and gentlemen, get an appreciation journal. I've spoken about the journal. I won't stop talking about the journal. Get a journal and every day practice appreciation of yourself, of what you bring to life, of your brilliance, of your state, of your ability to make a difference, of your ability to be a great dad, a great mom. Just appreciate yourself more. You'll be surprised what that does to your self-esteem. All of a sudden, and by the way, it doesn't matter if anybody else is appreciating. No, you appreciate yourself first. Boom, self-esteem begins to go up. Number 3, just get stuff done. Just get your shit done. End of story. When you say you're going to do, there's so many, last year I was going through, our calendar and all the things I said I was going to do, I didn't freaking do. And I was like, damn, now everything I say I'm going to do, you bet I'm going to do. And you and me are on this journey. And I hope that we can together galvanize the energy to say, you know what, whatever we say we're going to do, let us do it with presence, with steam, with energy, and most importantly, with joy. Next one, stop freaking complaining. Catch yourself complaining, shut up. Don't complain about the weather, don't complain about the heat, don't complain about nothing, no traffic, don't complain about nothing. Just be grateful for life. Okay? The final one is change your friends if you don't have great uplifting friends. Okay? Now, this is the big one for some of you. Why? You're clinging on to people who don't serve you. You're clinging on to people because your self-esteem is too low. You want to hang on with those people who have a higher self-esteem, but they abuse you. They abuse you actually not because they have a higher self-esteem, but even theirs is much lower. Now, I went through a process where I had to get rid of quite a few of my friends. Now, guys, if you see it, I'm sorry, it was not intentional, but I had to work on myself to make sure that, one, I was able to serve even better. Get rid of those circles of people who don't support you, those who don't give you, positive vibes, those who don't, give you that feeling of, hey, you're worth it. Hey, you can make it. Hey, it is not failure. It is something that you can pick yourself up from. Okay? Begin to practice those, and before you know it, boom. And finally, I just want to leave you with a thought. The only time failure becomes a reality is if you say that you have failed. Otherwise, please be aware that whatever challenge you get in life, it is a character building episode. It's not a failure. you always have the ability to bounce back. 2017 is about living an epic year. 2017 is about bouncing back. 2017 is about living your purpose. Most importantly, building your confidence and self-esteem to go after your dreams. The dreams that are going to make you a better dad. The dreams that are going to change your lifestyle. The dreams that are going to ensure that you contribute more than you've ever dreamed in your life. So whatever you do, live strong, live with passion, and I shall see you at the Momentum Live series where, hey, we're going to be in a room, we're going to rock, we're taking it to the next level, where we're going to work on those subconscious things that prevent you from moving on. You know, it is a 2-day seminar where we just take it to the next level. Firework, whatever it is, we do it there. Most importantly, when you leave there, your performance goes through. You get so many breakthroughs. It's unbelievable. So if you can join us there, it will be wonderful. We will be glad to see you, to be able to share in your journey. And as you go through this, please find time to share with everybody so we can make a difference together. Like us on Facebook. You can go to YouTube, wherever it is, share with somebody so that together we can make a difference. Thank you.